Hey, good afternoon. My name's Chris Gunn, and once again, welcome to my channel, Chris Gunn's Bourbon Barrel Creations. So it's Saturday afternoon. I'm up here in my bourbon room. I'm having a couple of pours. I was playing the guitar over there, trying to act like I know what I'm doing with it. Trying to be the guitar hero in my brain I am, which, it's a journey. And, like they say, it's not the destination, it's the journey, but I do enjoy doing it. But then I got to thinking I need to review a bottle that I've been meaning to review for a while. So what have I got here? What I got here is, drum roll please, because nobody's going to be surprised. I've got a bottle of 13th Colony. Um, and so, yeah, people are going to say, dude, stop with the 13th Colony. But I got to tell you, man, I love me some 13th Colony. And once again, it's not the distillate in the bottle. The distillate's good. The distillate's always good to me, or I wouldn't be buying it. It's the people, and it's the way they treat me. And so they make me feel like they're part of their family. So this one, though, this was a fairly special bottle. This was, when they first got started, the first thing they ever produced was corn whiskey. And, for me, I just love that. From my background, I grew up around a farm. My grandmother had a place, and my dad ended up eventually buying the place across the street from her. And so, when you talk about home and, what is your vision of home, it was always my grandmother's house. And, the cool thing about it is in this room, I have two paintings, and they were done by my daughter because my daughter is very, very artistic. And the first one's kind of like right here. You can't see it, but it's a Blanton's bottle, which I thought was really, really cool until she produced the one that's over there, and she did a picture of my grandmother's house. But, growing up on a farm, we grew everything. We grew, it was, the running joke for me was if it couldn't swim, outrun, or outfly my grandmother, she'd get it in a pot. But I had asked her one time before she passed away, I said, what is your monthly grocery bill? And she started laughing. She said $40. And I was amazed. I mean, any of us, if we could say that we spent $40 a month, I don't know how you do it in this day and age. But, she would say she'd buy milk and flour and everything else she grew on her farm. Or, it was deer season, I'd kill her a deer. My cousin Sean would, or somebody else would. And we'd keep her freezer packed for her. But, we grew things. And one of the big crops, in the South, probably all over the United States, is corn. And so for 13th Colony, one of their first products to be a corn whiskey just kind of, talks to me as a person. But this one in particular was pretty cool because, they had some leftover barrels and they intentionally let them maturate for years. And so this one came in at 12 years and 7 months. And it is, I don't know if they watered this down at all, but it was 149.34 proof. The way you got this bottle was they have an insider newsletter. And so, you can get on there. It's free. Put your email address in and they'll send you information about, stuff they're going to drop at the distillery. Some of their more limited bottles they're going to drop. And for this particular one, it was going to be very, very limited. I dare say that this is probably the second most limited thing they ever produced. And I would say, now they would probably either tell me to shut up or they'd correct me, but I believe the most limited thing they probably ever produced was the sweet potato whiskey, which is a legend in itself. And so this one in particular, I want to say the numbers were around 90 bottles. And the way they released them, it was 6 a day, 5 days a week for 3 weeks straight. And I think that number comes out to about 90 bottles. And I might be a little off of my numbers. But I know I wanted a bottle pretty bad because I've been lucky enough to get every one of the distillery releases they've had because I live close enough to get down there to get them. And so for this particular one, I want to say they started on a Monday. I took the day off from work and I drove down there. Now, when I pulled into the parking lot, I thought I was out of luck because there was cars everywhere. And so I was getting ready to leave, but I pulled in real quick and I saw a guy I had seen down there before. So I walked over to start talking to him. And he was like, I'm not sure who's here. And when I pulled in, there was people in these cars. I think they might have their seats back and asleep. And so I was like, well, if that's the case, I'm out of luck. I'm going to get on leave. And about that time, Megan walked out and I just looked at her and I said, hey, is it true you're only going to release 6 bottles a day? And she said, yeah. But she goes, don't run off because all these cars in the parking lot are employees. And so we got in line and I ended up being, I want to say, third in line. And so I was lucky enough to get the bottle the first day they released it. And I've opened this bottle already. I've got some friends over in West Alabama. Marshall and his wife, Michelle, introduced me to another group of my friends, Lee and his wife, B. And I took this over there because I know they can't, they don't get it over there. And I knew there was no way they'd ever get to try it. And, that's the joy of bourbon to me. You try it with people who could never try it before. And so I took it over there and we cracked it open. And, the first night we tried it, it was hot. And, that was the neck pour off of it. Now, right off the bat, I'm getting all that corn in there. It's really influenced the smell because it's like if you could imagine going to the movie theater. Well, I'm sure nobody can't not imagine going to the movie theater unless you've lived under a rock your whole life. But this smells like the lobby in a movie theater. It's like that anticipation of seeing that movie you've been waiting all week to see. But it's that buttered popcorn smell. And yeah, so, but I'm also getting honeysuckles. And for me, it's bringing back memories. I don't particularly think my palate is acclimated to really pick up stuff like my buddy Sean. Sean will pick up every nuance and he can take a thread and he can pull on it and he can be like, he'll find the smallest minute smell or flavor in a bourbon. I'm not like that. I think I'm getting better, but I think for me, when I smell a bourbon, I kind of shut my eyes and I think, what is the memory that does this invoke? And for me, this particular one invokes me baling hay with my dad. Which at the time was a little rough because it was like 4th of July. And if you know anything about South Georgia, it is brutally hot in July. But when you bale hay, you've got to run essentially 2 tractors. You got to run the first one to thatch the hay, which is basically sling it so it'll dry and not rot. And the second tractor comes behind you and it bales the hay. And so for this smells like a field of hay after you thatched it. And so, yeah, it just brings back memories of me and my dad spending time together. Not the optimal time I want to spend them with my dad, but nonetheless, it's time I get to spend with my dad. So, yeah, let me, it's oily. There's no doubt because I've drank a little bit before I made this video because my microphone didn't work the first time. But I can see where it's left like a line of oil on the glass. But whereas, me and Prentice, we'll try stuff over in Oak and Agave and I mean, the stuff will run down the glass. This not necessarily run as much as it's just like super glue. It sticks to the glass. And so, yeah, let me get a sip of this. Okay, so everything that you smell carries over to the palate. I'm getting the corn, but I'm not so much getting buttered popcorn now as much as I'm getting kettle corn, which I like more. I'm a big fan of those pop chips. And so is my dog Bella. She loves them, but she's a potato chip fanatic. But I'm getting kettle corn. I'm getting honeysuckle. I'm getting honey buttered biscuits. It's all those things that bring back the nostalgia of, for me, living in the South and, growing up around a farm. I'm digging this one. This is the third time I've kind of came back to it. I did it, like I said, I did it with my buddy Marshall and Lee. Then I took it to a bottle share at the Alabama ABC store for a quarter or monthly drop. And me and Dan and Paul and Sean tried it that night. But yeah, I think the only thing that I would fault this bottle for is I would love to see 13th Colony start doing some 375 milliliter bottles. And I know that, you know, for 13th Colony, this is kind of their signature bottle. Kind of looks like something else, you know, that kind of invokes a birthday for me. But, and there might be a reason. I don't know. It's, you know, it's not for me to know, but this has kind of always been 13th Colony's bottles. Some people don't like them because they're hard to put on a shelf. They take up a lot of room. They're very horizontal versus vertical. I kind of like them because I put them over there by my under my TV, and my TV stand's kind of got some little squat shelves on it, and it's just perfect over there. But I would love to see something like this, because you could have probably doubled or tripled this in 375 milliliter bottles, and you gave more people the chance to try it. So, you know, 13th Colony, if you get something like this again, please, I'd love to see more people get to try it, because I think 13th Colony is one of those things that, you know, it's if you don't live down here, their distribution is not the whole United States. And so, you know, it's hit or miss if you ever get to try it. Now, where would I rate this? Do I think it's better than the 13th Colony Double Oak? No, absolutely not. 13th Double Oak was something it's hard to understand how they replicated it. And I honestly don't believe they can say what they want to. I think if they were honest, they'll probably say there was some luck involved in how they made 13th Colony Double Oak. The true litmus test is, can they pull it off again this year? Because, you know, as we all know, they held off last year not making it. And I thought that was one of the smartest things they could have done, because they didn't believe it was ready to roll. And so I am just like this. Waiting. Like, oh my Lord, I can't wait to get my hands on it. And I'll do everything in my power to get my hands on that bottle this year when it comes out, because I fully believe with all my heart it's going to be as good as the previous batches of it. So no, I don't think that's as good as 13th Colony Double Oak. Do I think it's as good as the 15th anniversary? I don't know. I haven't drank enough of it. I'd have to let Prentice drink this at Oak and Agave. Prentice is the quintessential 15th anniversary fan. He'll say there's nothing better. And so I think I got to let him try this, and that's my next step. I'm going to take it over for the Oak and Agave channel and let us I'm going to probably do a surprise pour with him one night. Do I think it's better than the sweet potato whiskey? I don't know. There's not enough of that out there, and I've only had it one time, and I was lucky enough to just get that because I was with Sean one time. So, but do I think it's good? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And so when people come over here and they want to try something unique, I'm going to pull this bottle out, and I'm going to say, here you go. Let's have a little bit of, South Georgia in a bottle. So, but yeah, there's kind of my thoughts on that bottle. They did a good job on it. It's just, I wish there had been more so more people could have enjoyed it. So with all that said, I say this all the time. If you got someone you love and you got a good pour, then share that pour with them and make those memories. And I will see you at the next one.